Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. Sorry guys, you haven't seen me for a while. It's been about a week and a half since I posted a video, and that was because I was away on a family vacation. It's a vacation that we had planned out quite a while ago, 8 to 9 months ago, and luckily, we'd already prepaid for it and everything. For those of you that listen to me on a regular basis, you know that times have been getting a little tough. So this would have been something we could have now probably pulled money out for. So, but it already been prepaid for our Airbnb and everything. It was a great vacation. We stayed down in Amelia Island, Florida. It's just right over the Georgia border. It's a beautiful spot, beautiful beach. There's a really cool old fort there too that you can go walk through, and it was a great time just to kind of get away from it. And I was pretty disconnected from social media and everything. My wife and I, we had a lot of talking to do and planning. We got some tough decisions coming up, as I think a lot of you guys can feel right now. Things have gotten very hard over the last 3 years, I'd say. Inflation, just the cost of everything is just astronomical. But what's really killed me was two-part. My job is based on me providing my own vehicle, and it's a good paying job. However, this job used to be very good, but with the cost of the cost of car repairs right now and car parts and just regular maintenance, like oil changes and gas is still pretty much where it's been for the last year or so. It may have gone down 10 cents here or there, but I mean, it's killed us. I mean, I had to replace 2 transmissions last year, and those were both work cars. One had been my work car, and I replaced that transmission. I bought this car that I'm using now to replace that one, and then I ended up fixing that transmission because my son needed a car for high school. And then this car's transmission went out literally 6 months later after I replaced the other one. And so, I spent over $14,000 last year on transmissions. I mean, this is insane. I mean, I remember 6-7 years ago, transmission was like maybe $3,000, $4,000 at the most. It's astronomical, folks. And I know all of you guys are dealing with hardships too. A couple of you are doing well, bless you, God bless you, universe bless you. I'm glad too, because I know all you guys are great people. The ones that I know personally, that I do Zooms with and everything, you guys are great, and I wish you guys the best. And I know a lot of us out here are struggling. Look, 5 years ago, we had excess money in the bank, well ahead of our bills. Things are going great, and then food and gas and car repairs and just everything just started just hammering away and chiseling away at our reserves, and it's been tough. And my wife has a disability that she works with, but it only limits her to 32 hours a week, light work. She had a doctor commit malpractice on her years ago in Colorado, and cut through one of her main nerves. And anyways, long story short, we should have been able to sue for malpractice. She probably flatlined. They haven't told us all of the truth about that situation, but let's just say it was clear-cut malpractice. The lawyers that we were able to talk to about it all said it was clear-cut malpractice. The problem is no lawyers in Colorado would take our case, because Colorado is a state that protects doctors. It limits malpractice to, I think it was capped out at like $200,000 or $300,000, which to some of you sounds like that's a lot, but when you're dealing with the case we would have been, by the time it got dragged out through court for probably 5-6 years, all the lawyers' fees covered, everything else. Probably by that point, who knows, we would have lost our house or whatever. We would probably we would have come out with hardly anything. Let's just, and no lawyers wanted, they don't want that. So they want, cases they can make buco bucks on. So it's unfortunate. We even had lawyers from Florida that were going to take our case, but they said they couldn't find a co-counsel in Colorado to work with them. So it is what it is, man. Look, this world is designed to fuck us, man. Every way you look, this world is designed to fuck us. When you hear Christians talk about hell, heaven and hell, you got to do good and be faithful, or ask Jesus for forgiveness, or you're going to go to hell. Folks, if you haven't figured it out by now, earth is hell. Now look, earth can be heaven or hell. It's what you make of it, right? Or what your circumstances, like, your inputs, your data collection will tell you it is. The impression it gives you. Now, there's times when being here to me is heaven on earth. But right now, I got to tell you, it feels like my family's going through hell on earth. But I know I'm not the only one. And look, we have it better than others. Look, at least my wife and I still have a job. We have options. But, you look at this system, you work your whole life. You pay these mortgages that are just usury. Like your house mortgage, for instance. Have you ever looked at the fine print when you go to sign on a house? 30-year mortgage, look, we don't do balloon loans and adjustable rates. We've always done just, the set rate, mortgage. But when you look at it, by the time you pay it out, you end up paying 3 times more for the house in interest. And of course, they tack on all those extra fees, which are thousands of dollars, and this and that. And then you factor in maintenance and insurance and property taxes. And I'm telling you folks, mortgage insurance. By the time you pay off your house, you paid 4 times the amount for your house. And yes, your house may went up in value, you think, but all your house is doing is rising with inflation. So if you're like, oh yeah, man, my house went up $100,000. Well, cool. You just paid $1 million for your house. Good job. That's if you pay the full 30-year term out. And I know the boomers could jump on here and be like, hey, well, if you just, pay double payments and pay, an extra payment a year and all this stuff, you'll cut out a lot of that interest. Well, that's true, man. But who realistically in this era has that kind of cash flow? Hardly anybody, man. The boomers might, because they bought a lot of these properties back when they were under $100,000. They bought, they have pensions, they have Social Security, they have savings, 401ks, in property investments. And look, I'm not dissing that. Hey, man, you were smart. Like, if you're one of the elderly people or almost elderly that you bought properties and you made investments and they worked and you did it right, man, great for you, man. I'm not putting you down, dude. That's fantastic. But you can't look at young people and be like, hey, do what I did. You can't do what you did because things have changed. There's no more pensions. There's no more just the husband working and the wife being able to stay at home. Now you're looking at, just to repair your car, you got to take out loans. Because, and I know somebody say, well, fix it yourself. Yeah, okay, you replace your transmission yourself. I'm sorry, I'm not a mechanic, but, I'm just saying, man, look, our society, we're getting robbed, folks. And now I'm starting to get a little upset about the whole where we're going with this. I gotta admit, and look, folks, I don't know what this video is gonna be about. Look, I don't want to sound like a whiny bitch. I'm trying to lay things out here realistically, man. And we're just talking, we're just chatting. I'd love to hear your advice and your thoughts. But I thought we were really going in a good direction with the new administration. I thought that we had enough libertarian type, anti-establishment, anti-big government, anti-big bank people in there that we were going to start seeing, some major change that this country needs. And instead what I see is this big push to try to pay down the U.S. debt, and this big push to try to keep this system intact. And I'm sitting here folks, this is ridiculous, man. Look, I get it. The WEF, the globalists, their plan was to bomb the U.S. economy and bomb the dollar completely, destroy it completely. That was their plan. And then their plan was to bring in digital token currency. Literally currency that is programmed individually based on your own data, on your social credit score, controlling your every move and your every action and surveilling your every action and move. That was what the left, the globalist, progressive, socialist, communist, whatever, Marxist, whatever these goons are on the left, that's what they were wanting. They were wanting to deep six the dollar and the U.S. economy. And this was being planned on all Western nations and Asian nations. Any wealthy nation, this was being planned on because they want to destroy all the economies, have their great reset, and bring in a one world digital token surveillance currency. Remember, you'll own nothing and be happy. You'll rent everything. You won't own land. You won't. Well, let's be real, folks. Look, even if you pay off your mortgage, you don't own shit. Okay? You have the illusion you own stuff. You're just temporarily holding that property for the government. That's all you're doing. Okay? Even when you get that title back for your house, when you pay it off, it's not your house if you don't pay your property taxes. Okay? Try not paying your property taxes and see what happens. It's all a scam, folks. I've told you guys this many times. But what I was hoping that they were going to do, because that was what they were alluding to at first, right? Abolishing the IRS. Why would you abolish the IRS? Well, you would abolish the IRS if you were going to get rid of this current unconstitutional, parasitic, predatory, usury system. That's the only reason you would abolish the IRS. You got to get rid, and then they backwalked on all that, right? Oh, yeah, never mind. Well, we're going to take away taxes on tips and overtime. Now, some of you may say this is a slow walk back, right? Well, they got to do it in parts. They got to start small, get people excited, so they'll back abolishing the Federal Reserve completely and income tax completely. Folks, here's the joke about it all. Our monetary system is fake to begin with. All this governmental debt, national debt that they keep talking about, people on the right, pay down the debt. God damn it, we got to pay down the debt. Then you got people, on the left that want to just, bring it all down, right? Well, folks, we got to bring it all down. But here's the difference. I thought we were going to bring it down, but it was going to be a true reset where we abolish the Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve notes, wipe out all debt in the U.S. that's tied to that fake monetary system, that debt-based currency. And then bring in an actual, for one, Congress has few jobs it's actually supposed to do. One of them, though, is supposed to be the stewards of our currency. They're supposed to print our money. I don't mean they're, Chucky Schumer and these goons are out there printing money. What I mean is that they were supposed to be responsible for monetary policy and for the currency. And they gave that over to not a non-federal, let me say a centralized foreign, there you go, not federal, foreign cartel banking system based out of the city of London. That's not even part of our government. That issues us debt on every dollar they print. So we go more in debt. The more every dollar they print, we go more in debt. It's a scam, folks. It's a scam. I mean, my God. What we need to do is abolish that system. And would it be hard? Yes. Would it wipe out people's savings and 401ks? Yes. But that's why the boomers will fight this so bad, because they're the only generation that has anything left. The other generations will never get to the point they are, because our rights, our money is being wiped away every year. We get paid less to do more, and eventually they're just going to replace us with AI and robotics. And that's why they brought out the the jibber jabber do, if you get my meaning, was to dismiss a lot of the population. So that when AI and robotics took over most of the jobs, well, what do you do with all those people that can't work now or can't find jobs? Well, guess what? They're no longer around. You can afford to cut the population down, and that'll absorb the loss of those jobs. That was their plan, folks. But I thought we were actually going to move into a more humanist future, where we were going to abolish this usury system that's illegal, wipe out all debt, because what is debt if it's based off of a lie? It's all a scam, folks. Like the U.S. dollar and the Federal Reserve, they're criminals. It's a criminal system. It's a fake money. It's a debt-based currency. You would have to wipe out everything and start over, folks. And then you could bring in an asset-based currency. Like a currency actually based on the natural wealth of a nation, of the United States. That could be a combination maybe of gold, silver reserves, oil and natural gas production, food production, timber. I mean, all of our natural resources that USA is rich for. That commodities could back your currency. And you could bring in, for those of you that are into the digital currency and all that, you could bring in a partnered currency with that by still having printed money that could parallel that could still be used for all of your electronic transfers and stuff. But without the surveillance, without the programming as these tokens they want to put on us, where, your social credit score is bad, your tokens are going to disappear, they only buy certain things, like instead of beer, you can only buy juice or something. I mean, look, folks, that's what they do in China. Okay, China is the beta test for that. They were planning on bringing it here, and they probably still are. Because I'm starting to lose faith that anything's actually going to get changed. I think we're going to be just slow walked into this whole system. The slavery system. It's just coming at it from a different angle now. It's interesting, folks. I don't know. Like I've said before, man, I feel like a lot of my videos turn into black pills, and I'm seriously not trying to make it like a black pill. We got to know these things, folks. Look, if we don't know what's wrong, we can't fix them. But I don't think this current administration has the guts to truly put the dagger in the globalist hearts. Because look, what America does, the rest of the world will follow. I mean, all these, tariffs and all this other stuff, that's great and fantastic. And alluding to doing away with income tax in the future is great. But look, you're still trying to do it with an illegal system. You got to get rid of the, I know you can't even use this word, but the C. You know, like the astrological sign, right? If you don't get rid of that from the root, and you just, you know, make everything healthy around it, it'll still spread. It'll eventually infect everything else again. So, by them kicking the can down the road and trying to stop this default and this reset, this destruction of the dollar, they're actually making it worse for everybody. They're going to send us further into inflation, and it's going to continue to go downward. Look, cool, man, tips and overtime not being taxed. Wow. So let me guess, you know, we'll probably get screwed now out of getting overtime and stuff at work, you know. I mean, look, we're going to get screwed no matter how you look at it. You need to abolish the system that's usury and parasitic to begin with and start over. Would it hammer everybody? Yes, but I'm guessing the U.S. has a lot of secret reserves and a lot of commodities and stuff that they could figure out a fair way to do this. People that had lots of money in the bank, properties and stuff like that, when they reset, wiped out the debt, then maybe, you know, there could be some kind of stepped amount of currency everybody starts with. I don't know. I don't know how you would do it, folks. I don't. I'm not an expert at this. But all I can tell you is that, honestly, come on, man. Really? The dollar, dude. The most usury, corrupt money to ever be printed by the City of London. Not even the United States. By trying to fix this with that system, it's never going to work, folks. I mean, I know a lot of you are like rah, rah, rah on the right? Yeah, man, I trust everything he's doing. Everything's fantastic. It's, you know, trust the plan, right? Trust the plan. Well, I've already seen most of the good stuff already get shelved, like Doge, right? Of course Congress didn't pass any of the Doge savings because the Republicans and the Democrats both launder money from those corrupt, outdated systems like US Aid and other, you know, and all these NGO organizations that we give all this money to, like candy, you know, just throwing it out at a parade, right? All these politicians have their family members and buddies starting up NGOs, and they're all standing on the side of the parade route, man, with their hands open and their bag ready, right? And here comes Chucky Schumer and all these freaking clowns, man, just coming down the street with their clown cart circus, you know, with their taxpayer money, and just reaching their hands in these bags of money and just throwing it out to their NGO buddies, right? Throwing it out, fill up your bags, guys, throwing it out left and right. And then afterwards, they're like, hey, well, I told you start that NGO, right? Yeah, you did. And I told you would get some funding, right? Yeah. Okay, give me my freaking cut now. See how it works? So you really think the Republicans... Look, expecting the Republicans and Democrats to vote on term limits, on the end of corruption, on the end of their money laundering, on auditing the Fed, on auditing the Pentagon, on auditing... Look, they all still, folks, they're all criminals. I've told you this before. It's psychopaths. They're never going to vote to end their own gravy train. Okay? Oh, I mean, I'm sure you got one or two decent people in there. I'm not saying every single one is a hardcore criminal, but let's be real, folks. 99% of them are. You're just too stupid to realize it. You think these clowns that with their honey words, look, these are psychopaths. Folks, I've already told you how many damn times that you're ruled by psychopaths on the right and the left. They may have slightly different ideologies, right? Slightly different ideas on how they want to put tyranny on you, but they all want to put tyranny on you, okay? They all want to steal from you, and they have been stealing from you, and they're not going to stop. I don't know, folks. I mean, I don't know. We can't get enough people to wake up because people are just caught up in the right left paradigm, the Republican Democrat paradigm, right? They thinking that these are, this party's going to fix it, that party's going to fix it. And then of course they use these social um, things to like divide everybody, right? Getting rid of bait, that, like, the whole thing, I'm not going to go into it. You know what they divide us over, right? And what I laugh about is that those on the right are brainwashed and propagandized, especially the religious types. And then you got those on the left that are brainwashed and propagandized through academia. Well, maybe the higher class leftists, right? Your 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 white suburban liberal cat mom, that went to university for 4 years. She's real hot shit, right? She knows everything. You know, um, she's a Marxist, but she went through her Marxist boot camp training for those 4 years after. Well, hell, let's be honest. Your regular basic education, kindergarten through 12th grade is all Marxist training camp too, because the left runs the school systems, okay? And then the right, they pull all their, they fall back on the religious system. But they're both corrupt systems, folks. They're both lying to you, okay? So that's why it's so easy to divide Americans, because you can pull them apart. you know it's I don't know, folks. I'm holding out hope that this great awakening's happening, and I see it sometimes. I do. And look, a lot of people now know a lot more than they used to, but we're still so far from the getting anywhere we actually need to get to. But I guess this whole video was really just about, you know, is it worth saving the dollar, the system? We could do our own reset and kick out the globalist bankers, but they're not going to do that. They're too in bed with them. I mean, look, man, look who they're shilling for this certain country, this certain chosen people that run the banking. And there's no way. As tight as they are with those people, we'll never get out of this system. Look, almost every nation on earth that's been taken over by central banking by this particular group, when they try to get out of that system and they try to get this people out of their countries, they just move on to the next, and then they leave that country destroyed. It's really, they're parasites. They just go from country to country, injecting their Babylonian, Phoenician, Canaanite money system, debt-based currency system. And then once that takes a hold, then they can use their debt-based currency system to buy up all the land, to buy up all the politicians, to control militaries. And then they cause conflicts with other nations, and then they're buying out that nation, and then see, folks, I'm just going to leave it there. Look, you know where this is all going. I don't need to say more. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're way lost, okay? Let's just say this. The God of this world is the devil, and his children rule this world. I'll just leave it at that, okay? Figure out what you will of that. But anyways, folks. But hey, going back to what I said earlier, hey man, me and my fam, we'll get through this, and I wish the best for all of you out there. If you're going through what we are, just like, look, we've had a good run, man. We have. At least the good thing is we have one child left in the house. He's got one more year. At least we were the good part, the good years, the more prosperous years for us personally. We were able to raise our kids in. So, we'll deal with this as it comes. If I am able to get Exit the Matrix back from Facebook, which I have slim expectations at this point, that would be a boon, and it would probably take a while to get remonetized and all that, but it at least would give us a lifeline. But, we're looking at other things. Look, you got to pivot, right? Things aren't going your way, you got to figure out new things, and we're in the process of that. So I guess I would just ask for, if you can, if you if you feel it's right. Ask for your prayers, for your good thoughts, for your good energy, good vibes, so to speak, um, just to help us through this time. And one thing, if you'd really like to do, that I offer one-on-one Zooms, and we can talk about whatever you like. You get a copy of the Zoom, and now I'm also offering a gift of my own personal garnets that I collect as a thank you. That'll be shipped directly to you. Um, and that's it's not a lot, I know, but you'll find that the subjects that I'm able to talk about, the wide range, and then the people that I end up having these Zooms with are like super intelligent, like honestly, like way smarter than me. I mean, some of them, like one guy's like a just his understanding of non-duality and how deep he's gone into that. I've never even heard of it on out of anybody ever. An amazing dude. Um, we've been doing Zooms. I look forward to those. I mean, we're like doing like 3 hour Zooms every time. This other guy um, from Britain that I've done Zooms with, this guy's like, he just delving into quantum physics, like in large language model. He was building his own large language model, AI. The dude's just super intelligent, and so I'm usually the one getting taught in these talks. But look, folks, the biggest thing is I know you probably are in a situation like me where you can't talk to anybody, in your family, work, coworkers, whatever, about the things you want to talk about because they'll say you're crazy, they'll laugh at you, they'll make fun of you, they'll ignore you, they'll get mad at you. It could even be your own spouse or something. Who knows, folks? But I give you a platform. We can have a one-on-one. We can talk about whatever you like. I can talk about anything: aliens, the cuneiform, quantum physics, spiritual things, religious things, governmental things, anything, you know, you know, theories of the conspiracy type and all whatever you want. We can talk about anything. And it's good sometimes to be able to have somebody like that to talk to. And if you've got the means and you're able to donate for that time, my time for your energy currency, right? Then hit me up. So anyways, folks, I hate this to be such a dark video, but look, we are not getting the reset that we need. In fact, instead of getting the reset we should have, which is good, at least we're not getting the reset they wanted us to have. The other side, we're unfortunately just kicking the can down the road further with an illegal, unconstitutional system. So look, we're not going to get out of this anytime soon, folks. I wish we could, but I just don't see it coming. But anyways, guys, it's a Monday. This is unfortunately, I just had a week off work, and now we go back, and here we are back, and I hate to go in there, but I know you guys feel that too. That hamster wheel, right? That we never seem to get out of. I thought social media might be a doorway that I could, slip out at some point, but Facebook kind of slammed the door in my face. So, we're gonna keep cranking though. Look, man, life is what it is, folks. This is not an easy life. When you have good times, ride the wave, right? And if you can figure out how to calm the waters with the true Hermetic teachings, as my friend that I do Zooms with of the non-duality, if you can figure out how to separate yourself from the duality, and you have a little more control over things. And I'm still trying to learn that. I gotta admit, anyways, we're all learning, right? We're all experiencing, but I do appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.